now in a whole new look. Only on Northeast Live. Your station, your voice. News at 5, in association with Accoland Amusement Park, Annapurna Foods, Junior Holics, and Biz Farm Biscuits. Floods, landslides wreak havoc in Meghalaya's Garo Hills region. 4 deaths reported. Road communication disrupted in several areas. Flood situation in Assam continues to be grim. Over 11 lakh people affected in 25 districts. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma takes stock of situation. Landslides disrupt communication in Sikkim. Scores of vehicles stranded in North District. Focus on safety of tourists. Amidst grim flood situation, Assam government resumes a subsidized flight service between Guwahati and Silchar. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma urges stranded passengers not to panic. Day 2 of Agnipath protests in nation. Situation gets out of control in several states. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh assures youths upper limit raised to 23 years for recruits this year. Hello and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Ronak and we start the bulletin with the top focus this evening. Well, rains and landslides continue to wreak havoc in the region, with Assam and Meghalaya being the worst affected. At least 4 persons have died in separate incidents in Meghalaya's Garo Hills, where the situation continues to remain grim. At least 3 persons died in a massive landslide at Bagmara in South Garo Hills. The incident took place near the Circuit House in Bagmara, and all the deceased belonged to the same family. Meanwhile, another person died in Siju in Garo Hills due to landslide, taking the total death toll to 4. And heavy downpour has inundated several parts of Bagmara, while streets have also been submerged. Floodwaters have entered homes, causing extreme difficulties to the people. Indeed, viewers, the big development to start us off here this evening, the situation as rains and landslides continue to wreak havoc in the region, with Assam and Meghalaya being the worst affected. At least 4 persons have died in separate incidents in Meghalaya's Garo Hills, where the situation continues to remain grim. At least 3 persons died in a massive landslide at Bagmara in South Garo Hills. The incident took place near the Circuit House in Bagmara, and all the deceased belonged to the same family. Meanwhile, another person died in Siju in Garo Hills due to landslide, taking the total death toll to 4. And meanwhile, heavy downpour has inundated several parts of Bagmara, while streets have been submerged. Floodwaters have entered homes, causing extreme difficulties for the people. Take a look. And viewers, not just in Siju, not only this, Siju has also been cut off, as the portion of the NH62 towards Nongal Bibra has been washed away due to heavy rains. Bagmara too has become inaccessible due to the collapse of a key bridge. And what you see on your screens right now is the condition of the Tura Garobatha road, which has also been heavily inundated by the incessant rainfall. Rains have disrupted communication along several routes in the Garo Hills region. And amidst the ongoing flood fury in the region, Meghalaya Revenue and Disaster Management Minister Kirman Shilla today visited Laitlarim village under East Khasi Hills district, where 4 miners lost their lives in a landslide yesterday. Talking to reporters, Shilla expressed anguish over the tragic loss of lives. The Disaster Management Minister further assured that all necessary measures are being taken to act against any calamity. Yes, viewers, another big development coming in as amidst the ongoing flood fury in the region, Meghalaya Revenue and Disaster Management Minister Kirman Shilla today visited the Laitlarim village under East Khasi Hills district, where 4 miners lost their lives in a landslide yesterday. Talking to reporters, Shilla expressed anguish over the tragic loss of lives, and the Disaster Management Minister further assured that all necessary measures are being taken to act against any such calamity.
It's really sad to see that what happened to this family, especially they have lost 4 of their family members. It's really pain to see after seeing the dead body of this 4 members of this family. I feel so sad, and somehow I don't know what to say regarding with this, that how much pain that this family has suffered. We from outside we might not be able to ease their pain, but by coming here, I feel that we show respect and we show that we are with the family. If they are in need of us, we are ready to be a part of that, whether in pain or in any kind of sadness they face. And secondly, is that being for me, it makes me to come here and visit this place. Is that after seeing that, after I saw that message, that news, what had happened in this family, it cannot stop me and the entire department also. We call them so that we can come and witness it with our own eyes, and then so that we can speed up the process when it comes to expressure and then any kind of need and support which they require.
And meanwhile, Cherrapunji in Meghalaya recorded its 3rd highest rainfall in the month of June today, one of the wettest places on earth. Cherrapunji recorded a massive 972 millimeters of rainfall in the last 24 hours. This is also the highest in 27 years since June 1995, as per the Indian Meteorological Department. One of the wettest places in the world, Cherrapunji has recorded more than 750 millimeters of precipitation on a June day on 10 occasions since the IMD started keeping records. On the 16th of June 1995, the town nestled in the East Khasi Hills gauged 1,563.3 mm of rainfall. A day before, on the 15th of June in 1995, it received 930 millimeters of precipitation. Its 2nd highest rainfall in June was back in the year 1956, recording 973.8 millimeters of rainfall. Yes, viewers, a lot of rainfall this, isn't it? As Cherrapunji in Meghalaya recorded its 3rd highest rainfall in the month of June today, one of the wettest places on earth, as Cherrapunji recorded a massive 972 millimeters of rainfall in the last 24-hour period. This is also the highest in the last 27 years since June of 1995, as per the Indian Meteorological Department. One of the wettest places in the world, Cherrapunji has recorded more than 750 millimeters of precipitation on a June day on 10 different occasions since the IMD started keeping records. On the 16th of June 1995, the town nestled in the East Khasi Hills gauged 1,563.3 millimeters of rainfall, viewers. And a day before, on the 15th of June 1995, it received 930 millimeters of precipitation. Its 2nd highest rainfall in June was back in the year 1956, recording 973.8 millimeters of rainfall. All right, on to flood updates from Assam now. Well, after a very brief let up in rainfall last evening, Guwahati witnessed heavy downpour overnight, making the situation grim once again. Authorities are keeping a close watch on the already affected areas in Guwahati, which has been waterlogged since the last 4 days. Things have come to such a pass that electricity board has been compelled to cut off power lines in a few areas to prevent any untoward incident. Meanwhile, if we look at the statewide situation, a total of 25 districts have been affected by the wrath of heavy rainfall, with more than 11 lakh people severely affected. And of these, over 68,000 people are currently taking shelter in as many as 196 relief camps. Meanwhile, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, who is closely monitoring the flood situation, has informed that the situation is critical in several districts, including Darang, Baksa, Kamrup Metro, Bojali, Borpeta, Gwalpara, and Dhubri. The Assam Chief Minister also informed that Ministers Ranjit Das and Piju Hazarika, amongst others, are on the ground monitoring the situation. Chief Minister Sharma will also visit a couple of the worst affected districts tomorrow. The Assam Chief Minister informed that relief and rescue operations are underway smoothly and that the challenge lies in tackling the situation in the next couple of days.
আমাৰ বান পৰিস্থিতি দৰং জিলা, বাক্সা জিলা, গুৱাহাটী, কামৰূপ গ্ৰাম্য জিলা, বজালি জিলা, বৰপেটা জিলা, গোৱালপাৰা জিলা, ধুবুৰী জিলা আৰু বঙাইগাঁও জিলাত বান পৰিস্থিতি বা ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ জলপৃষ্ঠ বঢ়াৰ কাৰণে পৰিৱেশ উদ্বেগজনক হৈ আছে। কিছু স্থানত মথাউৰি ভাঙিছে। মন্ত্ৰী ৰঞ্জিত দাস, মন্ত্ৰী পীযুষ হাজৰিকা সকলো ফিল্ডত আছে। অহাকালি ময়ো ২-৩খন জিলালৈকে যাম আৰু এই মুহূৰ্তলৈকে মোক যিসকলে ৰিপৰ্ট দিছে বা উপায়ুক্তসকলে জনাইছে যে ৰিলিফ আৰু ৰেস্কিউ অপাৰেশ্যন খুব ভাল কৰি চলিছে আৰু বতৰ বিজ্ঞান কেন্দ্ৰৰ মতে অহা কালি আৰু পৰহিও বৰষুণ চলি থাকিব। ২০ তাৰিখৰ পৰা বৰষুণ নাথাকে। গতিকে এই দুটা দিন যদি আমি পৰিৱেশৰ লগত জোৰা তাপলি মাৰিব পাৰো তেতিয়াহলে হয়তো সমস্যা নাথাকে। বিপদজনক স্থানত থকা ঘৰবিলাক আমি স্থানান্তৰ কৰিব লাগিব। কাৰণ আমি সকলোৱে জানো যে পাহাৰৰ এজতে এজ মানে একদম মুখখনতে বিল্ডিংও বনাই লোৱা হৈছে। গতিকে এইবোৰতো বিপদজনক স্থানত আছে। গতিকে SDM এর মতে এইবিলাক বিপদগ্ৰস্ত বাসভৱন। কিন্তু আমি যেতিয়া বাসভৱন বিলাকৰ পৰা মানুহক আঁতৰাব যাওঁ মানুহে ৰেজিষ্ট কৰে। গতিকে এই সমস্যাবিলাক সমাধান কৰাৰ কাৰণে মানুহৰ মাজত এডুকেশ্যন, মানুহক বুজাব লাগিব, মানুহৰ লগত কথা পাতিব লাগিব। আমি ইতিমধ্যে GMCৰ নতুন কাউন্সিলৰ পাৰিষদসকলক কৈছো যে আমাৰ লগতো লিষ্টখন আছে যিখিনি বিপদ সংকুল ভৱন। আপোনালোকে অলপ কথা বতৰা পাতক, আমি মানুহখিনি তাৰ পৰা আঁতৰাব পাৰো।
And meanwhile, Bojali remains the worst affected district in the state. The embankment of Pahumara River was breached at Bhaukamari and Medhikuchi as many parts of Pachala town have been inundated. And due to incessant rainfall over the last couple of days, the swollen waters of rivers Koldia and Pahumara have inundated various places, roads and paddy fields of Bojali district of Assam. The rising water levels of the Pahumara River breached the embankment at Bhakuamari village and wreaked havoc in the surrounding areas. All the wards of Patsala town in Bojali district of Assam have been affected by floodwaters. The Assam SDRF and NDRF were called in for rescue operations in various places of Bojali. People have been shifted to safer places, and the Bojali district administration is working on a war footing to cope with the disaster. Meanwhile, one person is also reportedly missing. Meanwhile, given the inclement weather conditions, all educational institutions have been closed for the third consecutive day. The decision to this effect was announced by the Kamrup DC. The institutions will be shut until tomorrow till further notice. And besides, educational institutions in other districts such as Darang, Nolbari, Bongaigaon, Tamulpur, Baksa, and Dima Hasao will also be closed today and tomorrow. However, an exemption has been made for institutions that are holding examinations. And keeping in view the ongoing flood situation in Assam, the Northeast Frontier Railway has suspended operations of several trains under the Rongya zone. As per reports, operations have been suspended in the Nolbari district as the Nolbari-Khograpar railway line is submerged under floodwaters. The operations of the new Guwahati-Bongaigaon passenger train has also been suspended. Similarly, the Alipurduar-Lamding Intercity Express has only been allowed to ply up until Guwahati. On the other hand, Delhi-Dibrugarh Rajdhani Express, Kamakhya-Delhi-Brahmaputra Mail, amongst other trains plying along major routes, have been diverted to take the Bongaigaon-Gwalpara route to reach Guwahati instead of Bongaigaon-Rongya route. And meanwhile, we spoke to the CPRO of Northeast Frontier Railway, Sabyasachi De, to know more on the status of the trains. Let's listen in.
Lots of trains have been delayed, rerouted, and on this, what more can you share with us? Like, what steps?
See, yes, because of the floods, the New Bongaigaon Rangia Guwahati line,
Yes.
that has been affected in a place called Khograpar. 100 meters of track was damaged due to rain, due to which the bona fide trains of that route, were delayed initially, and later on to resume connectivity, we routed them through the New Bongaigaon Gwalpara town Kamakhya route.
Okay.
So right now the trains are moving. They are moving via the rerouted route of New Bongaigaon Gwalpara town Kamakhya.
And how much has this flood affected the?
It is 100 meters of track between Khograpar and Nolbari.
And in the wake of incessant rains and a disrupted connectivity to Assam's Barak Valley, the government has decided to resume subsidized flights between Guwahati and Silchar from tomorrow. That's right, viewers, a big development this as the move has been taken in association with ATDC and Fly Big Airlines. This has been informed by Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, who urged stranded passengers not to panic. Yes, viewers, this is another big information, a big announcement that has been made in the wake of incessant rainfall and disrupted connectivity in Assam's Barak Valley. The government has now decided to resume subsidized flights between Guwahati and Silchar from tomorrow. The move has been taken in association with ATDC and Flybig, and this was informed by Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, who urged stranded passengers not to panic. And amidst nature's fury, what has come as a concerning development is the floodwaters have inundated parts of the lower Subansiri hydropower project. Owing to incessant rains in Arunachal Pradesh, the swelling waters are now flowing over the main embankment of the project. As for information, water has been flowing over the main embankment since Thursday night. What's more concerning here, viewers, is that the strong waves of the swelling waters have triggered massive landslides along several regions. And also similar is the scene in Mongoldoi, where heavy rains have taken a big toll on the lives of the people. Floods have damaged embankments in multiple locations. And on the other hand, heavy flooding has severely affected vehicular movement on National Highway 15. And meanwhile, following heavy rainfall over the past few days in Sikkim, multiple landslides have been reported across the Himalayan state. As many as 70 vehicles were stuck in North Sikkim after a landslide blocked the road, leading to major tourist destinations like Lachung, Lacheng, Yumthang Valley, and Guru Dongmar. Mangan District Deputy Commissioner A.B. Karki, in speaking exclusively to Northeast Live, informed that the administration is putting forward all efforts to clear the road, which he said will take around 8 hours. He further assured that the tourists are safe, but also worried as most of the tourists have already booked their return tickets.
बारिश की वजह से उत्तर सिक्किम की कई सड़कें अभी अवरुद्ध हैं। इस संबंध में बातचीत करने के लिए मेरे साथ अभी उत्तर सिक्किम के मंगन जिला के जिलापाल डॉक्टर एबी कार्की हैं, जो लगातार रूप में नॉर्थ सिक्किम में बारिश हो रहा है। इसकी वजह से नॉर्थ सिक्किम में बहुत सारे रास्ते बंद है, इससे हम लोग को सूचना मिली। क्या है अभी का कंडीशन?
सिचुएशन बहुत ठीक नहीं है अभी, अविरल वर्षा है 2-3 दिन से, और रात का जो भी वर्षा था आज, उसके कारण हमारा जो लाचुंग और लाचेन, गुरुदोंगमर और युमथांग का जो टूरिस्ट डेस्टिनेशन है, वहाँ पे भी टूरिस्ट काफ़ी वहाँ पे फंसे तो नहीं बोलूँगा, लेकिन वहाँ पे स्ट्रैंडेड हुए हैं, क्योंकि हमारे चुंगथांग से लाचुंग को जो रास्ता है वो अभी टोटल ब्लॉक है कल से, और 8 घंटा और भी लगेगा। इसके लिए कम से कम हमारे 50-60 से ज़्यादा गाड़ी अभी वहाँ पे फंसा हुआ है, लेकिन अभी 8 घंटे के बाद ग्रेफ इंडियन आर्मी और लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मिलकर हम उनको निकाल रहे हैं आज।
कहाँ का टूरिस्ट है और आप लोग जिला प्रशासन की ओर से क्या सहूलियत या राहत दे रहे हैं?
या हमारा जिला प्रशासन और वहाँ के जो भी टास है, और हमारे जो भी ग्राम पंचायत है वहाँ के, और हमारे जो भी ग्रेफ है, इनसे पूरा रात तो है, उन लोगों के लिए सब जो भी रहने का है वो सब ठीक है। प्रॉब्लम ऐसा नहीं है, लेकिन रास्ता ये ओवरऑल बंद होने के कारण किसी का फ्लाइट्स मिस हो रहा है, किसी का ट्रेन मिस हो रहा है, इसमें हम चिंतित हैं।
नॉर्थ सिक्किम में लगातार रूप में एक्सीडेंट हो रहा है और एक ही साथ में 15 से ज्यादा एक्सीडेंट हुआ है, इस पर क्या कहना चाहिए?
एक्सीडेंट्स काफ़ी हुए हैं नॉर्थ सिक्किम में इस बार कंपैरेटिवली। ये हमारा मिसफॉर्चून है, दुर्भाग्य की बात है, बहुत खराब भी लग रहा है बोलने में भी। लेकिन क्या है कि अभी ये नेचर का फ्यूरी ऐसा है कि नॉर्थ सिक्किम ऐसा है जहाँ पे एब्सोल्युटली नेचुरल टूरिस्ट डेस्टिनेशन है। वहाँ पे कब आपका बारिश हो जाएगा, कब आपको क्लाउड बर्स्ट हो जाएगा, कब फ्लैश फ्लड्स हो जाएगा, आपको पता भी नहीं होता। इसके लिए टूरिस्ट बेचारे नहीं होते, उनको पता नहीं होता, इतना ज़्यादा नहीं होता है कहाँ जाना क्या। ऑल ऑफ अ सडन वो अविरल वर्षा के कारण उसको वाटर का वॉल्यूम बढ़ जाता है, और टूरिस्ट है ना, कभी कभी सेल्फी लेते हुए गिर जाते हैं, कभी कभी नजदीक जाके गिर जाते हैं। सिचुएशन है। एक गाड़ी भी एक्सीडेंट हो गई, 1-2 गाड़ी। इसमें क्या हुआ कि रोड कंडीशन उतना खराब था हमारा, उसके ऊपर फिर ड्राइवर का थोड़ा मे बी रात में सोने के लिए उनको प्रॉपर्ली नहीं नींद आया, इसके लिए भी हो सकता है। इसके कारण 2-3 एक्सीडेंट हुए हैं। लेकिन आज से हम हमारे डीजी साहब आए हुए हैं, हमारे एडिशनल डीजी साहब आए हुए हैं, एसपी साहब भी आए हुए हैं, हम बैठ के इसको समीक्षा भी कर रहे हैं आज।
So, as you can clearly see on your screens, viewers, the situation remains grim everywhere you look in the northeast region, with landslides being reported from North Sikkim, having blocked the roads to many important tourist destinations in the Himalayan state. And this is, of course, only in Sikkim. However, the situation also remains quite similar right here in Assam, as well as in neighboring Meghalaya. All these northeastern states very badly affected by nature's fury, as rains and landslides are continuing to wreak havoc in the entire northeast region. And meanwhile, the flood situation also remains grim in Papumpare district of Arunachal Pradesh. Due to incessant rainfall, the water levels of the Pare River at Sagali division in Lower Subansiri is rising rapidly. The government middle school at Longte Tapu under Leporiang circle of Sagali division was also affected by the incessant rainfall and ensuing floods. Yes, viewers, as you can clearly see, the situation is very grim in Papumpare district of Arunachal Pradesh. And flood waters gushing through, and the people's lives have been thrown out of gear everywhere you look. And of course, Papumpare district also one of the badly affected places in Arunachal Pradesh. And of course, what you see on your screens, viewers, is the Pare River, the water levels of which at Sagali division in Lower Subansiri is on a rapid rise. The government middle school at Longte Tapu under Leporian circle of Sagali division was also affected by the incessant rains and floods that have followed. And of course, these are the visuals that you see on your screens from the school in question. As you can see, floodwaters have breached the premises of the school, of course, having badly affected the students of that very school. And we will try to connect with our correspondent from Arunachal Pradesh to bring us all of the latest details from Ground Zero, viewers. But of course, in the meantime, the visuals do indeed speak for themselves, don't they? As you can see, the floodwaters gushing through, and of course, schools have not been spared. Nothing has been spared on its path of destruction as floodwaters and incessant rainfalls continue to wreak havoc for days in the entire northeast region.
जो अभी लास्ट टाइम से कह सकता है ये बहुत काफ़ी बारिश है और पानी डेंजर लेवल है.
Yes, viewers, we are connecting with our correspondent from Arunachal Pradesh to give us all the latest updates. All right, I am connected with my colleague Meme Mangfi joining me from Itanagar to give us all the latest updates. Meme, as we can see on our screens, the situation in Arunachal Pradesh also remains very grim due to the incessant rainfall leading to flash floods. So what are the latest updates from Ground Zero? How is the prevailing situation right now, Meme?
Yes, right now, you know that, every entire 7 North has been facing with this continuous rainfall since it's been days. So like was in Arunachal, it's been raining since more than 1 week and it's not stopping. And due to this incessant rainfall, now if you see one of the, not in capital, but in some region of the district, area have been affected badly. Some roads have been disconnected, like the recent one in Changlang, and now then there is this region. There is this division in Sagali subdivision of Leporian Circle. It's under the Papumpara district. There's this one government middle school who is affected badly by this continuous rainfall. So far, it's affecting some of the places in Papumpare.
Right. So, Meme, of course, this also begs the second very important question. How are restoration works going on in Papumpare district?
Well, yes, the magistrates are trying their best. The government are trying to they are doing their best for this. They have recently they have issued a notice for scam relief for some scam for safety for people whose house have been affected by the flood, landslide. They have been transferred to some scam areas, some scam relief. So far the government are doing their best. The magistrate, every district magistrate are doing their best. But then again, this rainfall is hitting the state badly. Some roads are disconnecting. The level of the river are rising very risky, very badly. The level of water is rising, and but then if you see on the other side, we haven't got some very bad damage. But yes, if we talk about this month. The capital have also been affected by the landslide and other areas as well.
Right, absolutely. Grim situation overall indeed, Meme Mangfi. Thank you so much for all of those updates. And meanwhile, the flood situation also is grim once again in Assam's Dima Hasao district. Floods and landslides have disrupted communication along the Lanka Haflong Road and Lanka Umrangsu route. We have reactions coming in from the DC of Dima Hasao, Nazreen Ahmed. So let's listen in.
আমি ঠিক রিস্টোরেশন প্ৰচেষ্টা আমি সম্পূৰ্ণ হৈছিলে আমাৰ কাছাৰ লগতো আমি যিটো এনএইচ ৰাস্তাটো আমাৰ ৰিষ্ট'ৰ হৈ গৈছিলে হঠাতে ছেকেণ্ড ফেজ অফ বৰষুণৰ পিছত কাছাৰ ৰাস্তাটো আমাৰ হাফলং টু কাছাৰ ৰাস্তাটো আমাৰ আকৌ বিচ্ছিন্ন হৈ গ'ল এতিয়া তেওঁলোকে ৰিষ্ট'ৰ কৰিব কিন্তু বৰষুণ দি থকাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে পাৰা নাই আৰু অতি সোনকালে কৰিম বুলি তেওঁলোকে আমাক আশ্বাস দিছে আৰু আমিও আমাৰ ডিষ্ট্ৰিক্ট এডমিনিষ্ট্ৰেশ্যনৰ ফালৰ পৰাও তেওঁলোকক আমি ডেইলি আমি আপডেট লৈ আছোঁ আৰু আমি আশা কৰিছোঁ যে এইটো ৰাস্তাও ৰিষ্ট'ৰ হ'ব ইন দ্য মেইন টাইম আমাৰ আকৌ হাফলং টু মাণ্ডাৰডিছা দেট ইজ ফ্ৰম টিল হোজাই এছ কাৰ্ভ বুলি এটা পইণ্ট আছে তাতেও প্ৰব্লেম হ'ব ধৰিছে নাহাৰ আণ্ডাৰতে সেইটো ৰাস্তাটো আমি এতিয়া আজি ৰাতিপুৱা গৈছোঁ পৰহিও গৈছোঁ কালিও গৈছিলোঁ গৈ আছোঁ তেওঁলোকে আৰম্ভ কৰিছে এতিয়া আজি তেওঁলোকে কালিৰ ভিতৰতে তেওঁলোকে প্ৰচেছটো কমপ্লিট কৰিম বুলি কৈছে আমি কনষ্টেণ্টলি টাচত আছোঁ আৰু আমি আশা কৰিছোঁ যে তেওঁলোকে দুদিনৰ ভিতৰত দুইটাই ৰাস্তা আমাক ৰিষ্ট'ৰ কৰি দিব পাৰিব
All right, it's time for a very short break here, viewers, but don't go anywhere. Lots more coming up on the other side. Stay tuned. Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage. Evening Prime, the primetime news at 7. Now, in a whole new look. Only on Northeast Live. Your station, your... Welcome back, viewers, to the news at 5. Before we continue, let's have another look at the headlines. Floods, landslides wreak havoc in Meghalaya's Garo Hills region. 4 deaths reported. Road communication disrupted in several areas. Assam's flood situation continues to remain grim. Over 11 lakh people affected in 25 districts. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma takes stock of situation. Heavy landslides disrupt communication in Sikkim. Scores of vehicles stranded in North District. Focus on safety of tourists. Amidst grim flood situation, Assam government resumes a subsidized flight service between Guwahati and Silchar. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma urges stranded passengers not to panic. And day 2 of Agnipath protests in nation. Situation gets out of control in several states. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh reassures youth upper limit raised to 23 years for recruits this year. Welcome back, viewers, and on to the big national focus now. With several trains vandalized and set on fire, public and police vehicles attacked, protests continue for the 3rd consecutive day in many parts of the country against the centre's new scheme, Agnipath, for recruitment of youth in India's defense forces. 2 coaches of Assam-bound Lohit Express were set ablaze by miscreants in Bihar's Mohiuddin Nagar this morning amidst the ongoing row over the Agnipath scheme. The train was en route to the Kamakhya station in Guwahati from Jammu and Kashmir. It may be mentioned here, viewers, that the situation is grim in Bihar as well as in neighboring Uttar Pradesh, amongst other states of the country, with movement of trains disrupted in several districts. Yes, viewers, indeed, another big story, a big national focus this evening, with several trains vandalized and set on fire, public and police vehicles attacked. Protests continue for the third straight day in many parts of the country against the centre's new Agnipath scheme for recruitment of youth in India's defense forces. 2 coaches of Assam-bound Lohit Express were set ablaze by miscreants in Bihar's Mohiuddin Nagar this morning amidst the ongoing row over the centre's Agnipath scheme. The train was en route to the Kamakhya station in Guwahati from Jammu and Kashmir. Let me also mention here, viewers, the situation is grim in both Bihar as well as Uttar Pradesh, amongst other states of the country, with movement of trains disrupted in several districts. And yes, viewers, what you see on your screens are the disturbing visuals coming in as the trains have been set ablaze in several parts. Especially the situation is reportedly grim in Bihar as well as in Uttar Pradesh. As you can see, absolutely, lawless situation going on with police personnel trying to bring the situation under control. And all of this over the row that has erupted over the centre's Agnipath scheme.
लुधियाना से आया हूँ।
कौन सा गाड़ी था ये?
लोहित एक्सप्रेस।
गाड़ी नंबर कितना है?
15,652। 15,652।
कहाँ तक प्रस्थान करते हैं आप?
मैं वहाँ से सिलगुड़ी एनजीबी तक।
सिलीगुड़ी तक?
हाँ जी।
क्या परेशानी हुई यहाँ पे, बताइए।
अभी हम यात्री हैं, इसमें जाने के लिए आए हुए, बीच रास्ते में दिक्कत हो रही है ना सरकार की तरफ से। चलो, इस विद्यार्थियों का भी मार्ग सही है, जायज है। आर्मियों की जो ट्रेनिंग की बात कर रहे हैं, 2-2 साल के लिए ट्रेनिंग देनी पड़ती है। पढ़ाई करने के बाद, एजुकेशन पूरा होने के बाद भी इन लोगों को जो शास्ति देना पड़ता है आर्मियों के लिए, जो ये लोग मार कर रहे हैं, उस चीज के लिए भी सही है। लेकिन इन लोगों को कहाँ गलती होगी? यात्रियों के लिए नहीं सोचा इन्होंने। यात्रियों के लिए अगर इन्होंने नहीं सोचा तो सरकार की तरफ से कुछ पहल की जाए। अंदर से आर्मी पुलिस वाले स्टेशन मार्शल वाले बोल रहे हैं चलो बाहर जाओ, 1 हफ्ते तक कोई इलाज नहीं है।
इंजन तोड़ दिया, इंजन के आगे आग लगा दिया,
ट्रेन में भी आग लगा?
ट्रेन में भी पूरा आग लगा।
कितना बोगी जली?
आप लोग मना नहीं किया?
माना खुद स्वयं बुताए।
कितना बोगी जला था?
आपको मोबाइल से लेने में मना कर रहा था।
हाँ, हमको भी वीडियो बनाने से मना कर दिया। यात्री सब उतर के अपना अपना किसी तरह व्यवस्था करके लोग जा रहे हैं।
आप लोग बहुत मना किया?
बहुत पूरा एकदम मना किए, हाथ गोड़ सब जोड़े,
नहीं माना। आग लगाते चला गए।
क्या लग रहा है कितना विलम्ब होगा गाड़ी का खुलने में?
आगे देखिए।
आज यहाँ पे मॉर्निंग में सुबह से रेलवे स्टेशन पे फोर्स तैनात है और यहाँ पे कुछ उपद्रवी लड़के आए थे, परंतु उनको जो है बहुत ज्यादा डैमेज करने से रोक लिया गया है। उनके द्वारा पत्थरबाजी का प्रयास किया गया, परंतु उनके प्रयासों को विफल करके अभी हम लोगों ने थोड़ा एक जगह रेलवे स्टेशन पे थोड़ी बहुत टूट फूट हुई है, उसको भी बंद कर दिया गया है और लगातार इन उपद्रवी लड़कों को रोक करके इन पे कार्रवाई करी जा रही है।
बस स्टेशन पे भी कोई तोड़फोड़ किया क्या?
मैं अभी बस स्टेशन पे भी कोई सूचना नहीं।
अभी तक कोई गिरफ्तारी नहीं हुई है। अभी वीडियोग्राफी करवाई जा रही है, वीडियोग्राफी के बेसिस पर आइडेंटिफाई करवाया जाएगा। अभी सबको वो किया जा रहा है, तितर किया जा रहा है। अगर कोई इकट्ठा हो रहा है तो समझा बुझा करके सबको भेजा जा रहा है। नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ ना। तो 200 लड़के लाठी लेकर के आए हैं और जो भी लड़के इकट्ठे थे उनसे लगातार संवाद स्थापित करके हमारा प्रयास है उनसे जानने के लिए कि वो क्यों इकट्ठा है, और उनको बताया जा रहा है। कुछ लड़के ज्ञापन देने के लिए जो इकट्ठा है उनसे ज्ञापन लेकर के उनको भेजा जा रहा है। बाकी सब जगह फोर्स इसलिए पहले से तैनात है। और इधर रेलवे स्टेशन में भी आउटर पे कुछ लोग इकट्ठे हुए थे जिसकी जानकारी मिली है कि प्लेटफॉर्म पे हमारी फोर्स तैनात थी, तो इधर आउटर में आकर के उनसे वार्ता करके संवाद करके उनको भेजा जा रहा है।
And notably, the Agnipath scheme has received huge backlash from multiple quarters, stating that it will adversely impact the functioning of India's armed forces. And even the house of Deputy Chief Minister Renu Devi, who is currently in Patna, was attacked in Betia in Bihar's West Champaran district amidst protests against the new recruitment scheme that has set off a firestorm. A BJP office was also attacked in Lakhisarai district. And in the Begusarai district, the agitated youth blocked the Rajbara Kumti road. The movement of trains was affected as agitating protesters chose to voice their concerns by sitting on the railway tracks in Saheb Purkamal and Lakhisarai railway stations. Protest against the Agnipath scheme was also witnessed in Uttar Pradesh, Balia, where a huge crowd gathered at the Balia railway station in protest against the Agnipath scheme. Raising slogans of Bharat Mata Ki Jai and Agnipath Wapas Lo, youth protesting against the recruitment scheme set an empty train on fire and vandalized a few other trains in Balia Varanasi Memu and Balia Shahganj trains. Worth mentioning here, viewers, the centre is of the view that the Agnipath scheme is a major overhaul of the decades-old selection process to enhance a youthful profile of the three services. And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has given his first reactions on the ongoing row of the centre's Agnipath scheme. The Defence Minister stated that young people did not get the opportunity to get inducted into the armed forces due to no recruitment process in the last 2 years. The Defence Minister further reiterated the government's decision to increase the upper age limit from 21 years to 23 years.
केंद्र सरकार द्वारा घोषित की गई अग्निपथ योजना भारत के नौजवानों को देश की रक्षा व्यवस्था से जुड़ने और देश की सेवा करने का एक सुनहरा अवसर देता है। अग्निवीर हूं, यह उनकी ताजिंदगी के लिए पहचान बन जाती है। पिछले 2 साल से सेना में भर्ती की प्रक्रिया न होने के कारण बहुत से नौजवानों को सेना में भर्ती होने का अवसर नहीं मिला। यह सच्चाई है। इसलिए युवाओं के भविष्य को ध्यान में रखते हुए और उनके प्रति संवेदनशीलता दिखाते हुए प्रधानमंत्री जी के अनुमोदन पर सरकार ने फैसला किया है कि अग्निवीरों की भर्ती की आयु सीमा को इस बार बढ़ाकर 21 से 23 वर्ष कर दिया जाए। यह वन टाइम रिलैक्सेशन दिया गया है। इससे बहुत सारे नौजवानों को अग्निवीर बनने की पात्रता स्वतः मिल जाएगी। और मैं यह भी कहना चाहता हूं कि भर्ती प्रक्रिया कुछ ही दिनों में प्रारंभ होने जा रही है। मैं सभी नौजवानों से अपील करता हूं कि सेना में भर्ती होने की वह तैयारी करें और इसका पूरा लाभ उठाएं।
Meanwhile, we also have first reactions coming in from Indian Army Chief General Manoj Pandey on the Agnipath scheme launched by the central government. The Army Chief's statement have assumed significance amidst the ongoing backlash over the centre's new initiative. Talking to the media, General Manoj Pandey has said that youth are still not aware about the Agnipath scheme. General Manoj Pandey further added that once the youth come to know about the scheme, they too will extend their support.
Let me start by saying that our units and formations are ready to embrace this change. And not only are they prepared, but they are extremely keen to adopt the Agnipath scheme. Our effort will be to spread awareness about the scheme up to the last soldier in the earliest possible time frame. As far as the youth is concerned, I feel they haven't fully understood the contents and the implications of the scheme, and that is why there are some apprehensions in their mind. But once they have fully understood the contents of the scheme, I'm sure that they will realize it is not only for their good, but also for the good of the nation and good of the Indian Army. In the last couple of days, a number of initiatives have been announced by the state governments, different ministries, certain corporate houses, and other agencies. I think all this will only allay their fears and further help them gain confidence in the scheme.
And amidst the ongoing protests throughout the country, the centre has now decided to increase the upper age limit for recruitment. Earlier, during the launch of the mega scheme on Thursday, the centre had said that aspirants between the age groups of 17 to 21 years would be inducted for a 4-year tenure in the armed forces. However, as per the latest order issued by the Defence Ministry, the age limit for recruitment has now been raised to 23 years for the 2022 batch only.
It's important for the youth to really understand the scheme first. A lot of this is happening because of lack of understanding and because of some views being expressed on the media where they are being misled into understanding it as lack of permanent employment and all the associated concerns that are being expressed. Firstly, there is no place for violence and protests of this nature for the youth who are aspiring to join the defense services. Firstly, so they should get out of this and understand the scheme. Read the scheme yourself and understand the terms and conditions. The starting terms in terms of pay is good. All other facilities are there. At 4 years, you will have an option and 12 lakh rupees to either apply for a permanent cadre.
Meanwhile, the opposition Congress has also opposed the centre's major recruitment reform in the armed forces with the Agnipath scheme. Take a look.
It is a matter of great concern that the government has announced a scheme called Agnipath to recruit 46,000 soldiers to the three defense forces. The Agnipath scheme is controversial, carries multiple risks, subverts the long-standing traditions and ethos of the armed forces, and there is no guarantee that the soldiers recruited under the scheme will be better trained and motivated to defend the country. We have read and heard the views expressed by retired defense officers. Almost unanimously, they have opposed the scheme, and we believe that many serving officers share the same reservations about the scheme.
And while the Congress party has been critical of Agnipath, a senior leader of the party, Manish Tiwari, has gone against all odds to support the centre's decision. Tiwari has termed this new scheme as a much-needed reform in the Indian armed forces. Tiwari stated that India needs a younger armed force with a lighter tech-savvy footprint and equipped with the state-of-the-art weaponry. All right, coming back to the region now, viewers. In a proud moment for Sikkim, Anju Tamang, a footballer from the Himalayan state, has been named Indian Player of the Year by the Football Players Association of India, or FPAI. Anju Tamang, who plays as a forward for Indian Women's League club Setu FC and the India Women's National Team, has made Sikkim as well as the entire nation proud after her achievement. It may be mentioned here that the FPAI Indian Player of the Year award is an annual award given to an Indian player who is adjudged to have been the best of the season in Indian football. The award has been presented since the 2009-2010 season, and the winner is chosen by a vote amongst the members of the Football Players Association of India. The first recipient of the award was given to Captain of India men's national football team, Sunil Chhetri. And since 2022, the women counterpart of the award is also presented, with Anju Tamang being the first recipient. On to some more sports news now. The Junior Under-17 Women's National Football Championship is all set to kick off on the 18th of June across 5 venues right here in Guwahati. The tournament, which will go on till the 4th of July, will be held across 5 venues, including the Indira Gandhi Athletic Stadium, SAI New Field Paltan Bazar, Nehru Stadium, LNIPE Sonapur, and Dimakuchi Stadium in Guwahati. There are 34 teams divided into 8 groups, with the teams in each group set to play against each other for the qualifying stage. The winners of qualifying matches will play the semi-finals, with the 2 winners from the last 4 proceeding to the finals. The groups have been divided as Group A, which includes Manipur, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, and Andhra Pradesh. Group B, which includes Mizoram, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Karnataka. Group C, including Telangana, Bihar, Meghalaya, Delhi, and Madhya Pradesh. Group D, consisting of Arunachal Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, and Goa. Then we have Group E, consisting of Nagaland, Ladakh, Punjab, and Kerala. Group F, including Tripura, Chandigarh, Odisha, Maharashtra, and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. We have Group G, consisting of Assam, Haryana, Puducherry, and Gujarat. Group H, consisting of Jammu and Kashmir, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, and Rajasthan. On to another big story now, viewers. 3 persons were injured in a head-on collision between a truck and a BSF bus at Barumura, Kamtingbari area on the Assam-Agartala National Highway. The driver of the BSF bus and the driver and co-driver of the lorry sustained injuries in the incident. The driver of the lorry was stuck inside the vehicle in a head-on collision between the two vehicles. Firefighters rushed to the scene and carried out rescue operations. Later, personnel of the TSR 12th Battalion also joined the rescue efforts. After much effort, the lorry driver was finally rescued by cutting off the door of the lorry. The injured driver was referred to the GBP hospital in a critical condition, while the co-driver and injured BSF bus driver were sent to the Teliamura Subdivisional Hospital for treatment.
আমরা পিএসআর আন্ডারে বড়মুড়াতে জাতীয় সড়কের মধ্যে একটা বিএসএফ এর গাড়ির সঙ্গে একটা 12 চাকার লরি মুখোমুখি সংঘর্ষ হয়। সংঘর্ষের ফলে 2 জন আহত হয়, একজনকে সঙ্গে সঙ্গে রেস্কিউ করে তেলিয়ামুড়া হসপিটালে পাঠানো হয়। আরেকজনকে 12 ব্যাটালিয়নের যে রেস্কিউ টিম আছে, মানে এনডিআরএফ এর যে টিম আছে এবং ফায়ার সার্ভিসের টিম জয়েন্টলি আরেকজনকে অনেক কাটার এনে রেস্কিউ করেছে। এখন তাকে বিএসএফ এর একটা মেডিকেল টিম অ্যাম্বুলেন্স করে জিবিকে নিয়ে বর্মা 4 নম্বর। প্রথম একটা কল আইছে যে একটা লোক গাড়ির মধ্যে ফাইসা দিছে। তারপর সাথে সাথে আমরা আইসি এসে দেখি লোকটা ফাইসা দিছে। তারপরে আমরা অনেক চেষ্টা করছি, তারা বাই করতে পারছি না। তারপরে এসডিআরএফ টিম আইসা তার সাথে আমরা সহযোগিতা করে 2-2.5 ঘন্টা চেষ্টা করেছে তারা বাইরে। টোটাল কত ঘন্টা হয়েছে? 2 ঘন্টা 2 ঘন্টা।
All right, on to the big international focus now, viewers. The United Nations Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet, addressing the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, said that the death toll is likely 1,000 times higher in Mariupol, claiming it to be the deadliest place in Ukraine. The United Nations Human Rights Chief said that at least 1,348 persons have been killed in Mariupol since the beginning of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. She also said that 9 out of 10 residential buildings and 6 out of 10 private houses have been damaged or destroyed. She added that the deaths were caused by airstrikes, tank and artillery shelling, and small arms and light weapons during street fighting. Bachelet also raised concerns over the filtration process in the city, where arbitrary determinations, intimidation, and humiliation, which may amount to ill treatment, have also been reported.
Between February and the end of April, Mariupol was likely the deadliest place in Ukraine. The intensity and extent of hostilities, destruction, and death and injury strongly suggest that serious violations of international humanitarian law and gross violations of international human rights law have occurred. To date, OHCHR has verified 1,348 individual civilian deaths directly in hostilities in Mariupol, including 70 children. These deaths were caused by airstrikes, tank and artillery shelling, and small arms and light weapons during street fighting. The actual death toll of hostilities on civilians is likely 1,000 higher. We assess that up to 90% of residential buildings have been damaged or destroyed, as well as up to 60% of private houses. An estimated 350,000 people were forced to leave the city. The humanitarian situation is devastating, with civilians continuing to bear the brunt of this conflict.
Let me remind our viewers at this point, Russia seized full control of Mariupol last month when more than 2,400 Ukrainian fighters surrendered at the besieged Azovstal steelworks. Moscow's capture of Mariupol helped it secure full control of the Sea of Azov coast and create a land bridge linking mainland China to Crimea, which it annexed from Ukraine in the year 2014. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has described Mariupol as completely destroyed, but Moscow has pledged to rebuild it. All right, on to another big story now. India on Thursday raised concerns over the multidimensional challenges Haiti faces in the backdrop of natural calamities and political turmoil at the United Nations Security Council. Pratik Mathur, India's counselor to the United Nations Security Council, speaking on the present situation in Haiti, said that recovery from the multidimensional challenge has not been easy, both political developments and tragic national calamities. Last year, Haiti faced challenges on both fronts: the assassination of President Jovenel Moise in July, and then the devastating earthquake of high magnitude, followed by a hurricane in August, exaggerated the humanitarian crisis. Mathur proposed having a clear timeline and a roadmap for the transition and holding of elections in Haiti. The councillor said that all Haitian stakeholders need to work constructively to build trust and confidence and arrive at a consensus on the restoration of the constitutional order through a realistic and practical roadmap. Mathur also condemned attacks on United Nations personnel in Haiti, stating that such attacks deserve the Council's strong condemnation. He also called for swift action against the perpetrators. Meanwhile, he also commended India's contribution to deflating the persistent problems in Haiti. India has been a major troop contributing country to the United Nations peacekeeping operations in Haiti and has also contributed 3 formed police units to United Nations stabilizing mission in Haiti.
Standing relation with Haiti and its people. India has been a major troop contributing country to UN peacekeeping operations in Haiti and has also contributed 3 formed police units to United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, MINUSTA, which were in operation till 2017. India has also been extending assistance to Haiti in its times of need, commencing with the 2010 earthquake rehabilitation efforts. We had also extended emergency financial aid of US dollars 2,050,000 to Haiti in the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew in October 2016, and more recently to address the COVID pandemic, for which we donated essential life-saving medicines. We have full confidence that the people of Haiti have the strength and resilience to overcome the current challenges they face.
And back to the region now. In a major crackdown, Tripura Mungiakami police today apprehended 2 peddlers after foiling a smuggling attempt of cannabis from outside the state at the Assam-Agartala National Highway. 5,364 kilos of dried cannabis, estimated to be a whopping amount of rupees 5.3 crore, loaded inside an LPG gas tanker, has been recovered and seized. Meanwhile, Khowai District Superintendent of Police Bhanupad Chakraborty and Teliamura Sub-Divisional Police Officer Sona Charan Jamatia rushed to the spot. It may be mentioned here that Mungiakami police made the arrest during vehicle checking at 41 mile of Assam-Agartala National Highway. The arrested have been identified as Habib Ansari and Sunil Kumar, and the peddlers disclosed that they belong to Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Besides, the peddlers will be handed over to the court tomorrow.
প্রিলিমিনারি ইন্টারোগেশনে যেটা উনি বলেছেন, মানে ড্রাইভার এবং অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট যাদেরকে আমরা অ্যারেস্ট করেছি, ওনারা বলেছেন যে জায়গাটা এসেছে ফ্রম আগরতলা সাইড। তো ডিটেল ইন্টারোগেশন করা হবে, অ্যাকচুয়াল সাইড কোন জায়গাতে আনা হয়েছে সেটা আমরা বের করব। 2 জনকে আমরা অ্যারেস্ট করেছি, একজন হলো হাবিব আনসারি, আরেকজন হলো সুনীল কুমার। একজনের বাড়ি বিহারে আছে আর একজনের বাড়ি ইউপিতে। গাড়ি নাম্বার NL0216846, আর যা পাওয়া গেছে 5,364 কেজি। আর বাজার মূল্য তো আসলে বাজার অত বিক্রি হয় না, কালো বাজারের মূল্য 5 কোটি প্রায় 30 লক্ষ টাকা। এটা একটা গ্যাসের বুলেট, এবং আপনারা জেনে খুশি হবেন এটা ত্রিপুরার হাইয়েস্ট গাঁজা ধরা হয়েছে।
এই গাড়ির কোন পারমিট বা কিছু আছে?
পারমিট এটা আমরা যারা আছে গ্যাসের তাদের সঙ্গে আমরা যোগাযোগ করবো। ইনিশিয়ালি যেটা জানা যাচ্ছে এই গাড়ির পারমিট নেই, এটাকে বোধহয় ব্যান করা হয়েছে, তবু আমরা দেখছি, আমরা অফিসিয়ালি চেক আপ করবো।
And with that, we have come to the end of our news bulletin. Stay tuned to Northeast Live for more news and updates. Thank you for watching. in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage. Evening Prime, the primetime news at 7. Now, in a whole new look. Only on Northeast Live. Your station, your voice.